And welcome back to episode 114 of the Weekly Tech Rank with me, Jay.
And me, Carl.
Ho, 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 Carl.
Not yet, Jay, not yet.
No, it is the 2nd of December as we record this. And yes, the festive season, whether you celebrate Christmas as a religious holiday or whether you enjoy the festive winter holiday that includes the Christmas religious element, it is upon us. We cannot escape it. There are lights everywhere. Children are creating Christmas lists. There is chaos already in my house.
I even bought a tree the other day, so that's been delivered on Wednesday.
What's wrong with the one in your loft that, spews plastic bits?
We haven't had one in our loft for a very long time. We got into this terrible habit of going chopping down living trees and put them in our house, waiting about 2 or 3 weeks, and they die.
Awesome. Woo! I'll be honest with you. I'm all in. I mean, they look fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I'm all in favor of the tree in our loft that has been knocking around for probably about the best part of 12 years.
The worst bit is getting them out of the house.
Yes,
as soon as you move that tree after 3 or 4 weeks, it just sheds every pine needle it's got all over your house.
I bet you there's got to be a technology solution for that. I bet you somewhere there's got to be somebody's created some Raspberry Pi connected Christmas tree monitor that plugs into the base of the Christmas tree.
I've got some of those Xiaomi plant monitors. I might stick one of those in it. Might give that a whirl.
That might give a whirl. So yes, we have entered the festive season, and this week is not ho ho ho, unfortunately. So this week we're going to cover a little bit more about Twitter. No, we're not going to go too far because we talked a lot about it the other week, but there has been some more strange developments. We're also going to talk a bit about FTX. Now we alluded to this the other week, and FTX is a crypto exchange. I think that was they were a crypto exchange.
Yes,
weren't
they are a crypto exchange. Yeah,
or were a crypto exchange. I think is probably the better way. And the former owner, CEO, founder of said FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, he's in some serious hot water. And this is one of those crazy stories that is really just adding more weight to the fact that crypto just is not ready for mainstream, is it? I don't think at all.
No, not at all.
We'll talk a bit more about that. We're going to talk Intel, we're going to talk Mercedes, we're going to talk Brazilians. Yes, the Brazilian regulator pops back up this week, but not for the story you think. And we have a crazy rumor story that involves Apple, pencils, and iPhones. And I tell you what, of all the rumors we talk about and come up, this one is the one that I am just blown away by because it is just absolutely crazy. So with that then, let's talk about Twitter. And again, what a crazy week it has been, isn't it, in the world of Elon Musk.
I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, things at Twitter are moving at such an incredible pace, but obviously not on the software side because that's gone nowhere. But I mean, what I wrote down for our notes is already old news.
It's old hat, isn't it?
It's old hat, and it was like, yeah. So what has happened since we last spoke to you on Twitter? Well, Musk had an all hands the other day. And after getting rid of 4,800 employees and multiple thousands of contractors, was it 5,000 or 6,000 contractors?
It was the bulk of them, I think, wasn't it?
Yep, he's apparently now done with layoffs and is ready to begin hiring for Twitter 2.0. He hasn't said exactly what roles he's looking to fill, and aren't only open on Twitter's website at the moment. But he did mention, in terms of critical hires, he wants people who are great at writing software. That's their highest priority. Okay, that's because he got rid of everyone that could write software. Fair enough. But anyway, he also mentioned that all hands that there were no plans to move Twitter to Texas, where SpaceX is, but he did move the idea of a dual headquartering it in in California and Texas. So, yeah. But then followed that up with an email requesting. This is the best email ever. Anyone who actually writes software, please report to the 10th floor at 2 p.m. today. Before doing so, please email a bullet point summary of what your code commits have achieved in the past 6 months, along with up to 10 screenshots of the most salient lines of code. Sorry, what?
I mean, I go from one extreme to the other of Musk is a lunatic. He's trying to run Twitter into the ground, or is this some? Are we not intelligent enough to see the bigger picture here? I just don't know.
I keep checking my watch just to make sure it's not April the 1st.
I mean, it just is. It's just absolutely nuts. So let's sack all of your devs. Let's sack all of your software engineering. Let's sack anybody who writes code.
Did you see the photo he posted of their was it their dev session after all of this?
No, I missed that. No.
There were no women there, and it was very, very obvious that the majority of people there were on H1 is it B visas?
Oh dear.
Yeah, who obviously the people who couldn't escape because their jobs and their livelihood and their life relies on having a job at Twitter. So of course everyone stayed for Twitter 2.0 for that, but I don't know. They did get one new employee though. George Hotz, whatever his name is,
Oh
HOTZ.
yeah. Isn't he the nemesis of like Elon Musk?
Well, he was, yeah. So he started a 12-week stint at Twitter to help get search working because apparently searching Twitter isn't very good. But if that name's unfamiliar, he's the security hacker known for developing iOS jailbreaks and reverse engineering PlayStation 3 before founding Comma AI.
Yeah,
that's their driver. Yeah, that's their competitor to Tesla's autopilot. But he's designed a system that can be plugged into any car.
But that only came about, didn't it? Because he had a kind of a Twitter spat, wasn't it, with
Musk,
Musk about the fact that he reckoned he could come and fix the autopilot problems that Twitter that Tesla had. And Musk basically said, "You ain't going to happen." And that I think was then the starting point for him to go and do that system. As you say,
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, like right.
It's fairly good. There's none of these are fully autonomous. Autopilot isn't for a start, but from what I've seen of it, it's not bad. But what do I know?
Well, there's got to be something in it, and he reckons it's pretty much GA, isn't it? That or Comrade the systems they've got that they can go, and I think they're relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things. About $2,000, I think I was reading somewhere, isn't it? That So actually,
he's basically what if any car that has an ODB 2.0 port or something like that.
He's in a good place, isn't he? Effectively, I think that's the point.
That was it. He's done with all the groundbreaking stuff at Comma AI, and he's not a day-to-day man. He says he's brought someone else in to take that. And now he has some spare time, so he thought he'd donate some time to Twitter. But
But I just it's like Messiah complex, isn't it? I'm going to come in. I'm going to fix something that thousands of people couldn't fix or couldn't make.
Yep.
It just The proof's in the pudding, and I'll be interested to see where that comes out of it. But I mean, so we've had Musk rehire Holtz then, and what else has happened then this week?
There's been
a couple of stuff.
It gets worse for a lot of people who work for Twitter. So do you remember when he got rid of a lot of people? We just spoke about it.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole payroll department walked out.
Oh yes, nobody's getting paid then.
No, people in UK and Germany are not getting paid. So apparently, Twitter have acknowledged the issues internally to staff. And they're claiming it's an issue with the receiving banks, not with them. Okay, but reports coming from the few employees that have finally been paid, November's thing, they're saying that the funds are coming from random bank accounts that aren't not the normal Twitter bank accounts. Some have even seen money go in and then be reversed.
That's somewhat concerning, isn't it?
Yeah, so all is not well with Twitter and payroll, or at least for UK and Germany, for the month of November. We got new badges. Not the badges to get into the buildings. I'm not sure if they fixed that yet. But new badges. So we're getting gold for companies, grey for governments, and blue for individuals. And these blues will actually be verified identities this time, not just that you can pay $8.
Hang on a minute. Isn't that what we had before? With the
you couldn't pay for one before. But you had a verification that was actually verified, yes.
That's what I mean. People were verified as in the sense of verification.
But that was the wrong way to do it, apparently, or not. I don't know.
No. But also this week, don't forget, he's also had a row with Tim Cook,
that was the last one. Yeah, so he's thrown his toys out of the pram about Apple, hasn't he? So first he was crying that Apple, like many others, have basically stopped advertising with them. Then he started criticizing Apple's App Store fee for in-app purchases, dubbing it a hidden 30% tax on the internet. I'm really not sure it's hidden. Yeah, have you heard about the Epic versus Apple and Google lawsuit? It's not hidden. Anyway, so after that, apparently he's also alleged that Apple threatened to withhold Twitter from the iOS App Store for unknown reasons, he says. Although, if he tried to submit an app with a third-party payment processor in there, then that could be why it was withheld.
No, and also Apple have got to be very careful because you think how they removed Parler, didn't they, from the App Store, given given all the issues that were there, given the way that there was extreme speech, hate speech, extreme,
Yeah.
extremists, right wing, all those kind of stuff that they didn't want people basically to be exposed to. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, you can still use Parler. Apple weren't suggesting you couldn't, but they were saying, well, actually, that doesn't atone to the kind of rules and moral code that we have here.
Yes.
And I wonder with Twitter that's the same way. If Musk's
It's
approach
fast heading that way, I imagine.
of free speech would be like, well, actually, you know what? We don't want to be sued by some third party or government because we allowed this application that therefore
Yeah.
incited riots. Because that's what'll happen, isn't it? Ultimately, we saw that. We saw that the other day, didn't there? There was that car crash in America at that Apple store where somebody
Oh, yes.
ran off the road, crashed into an Apple store, and killed. There was a death, and now Apple are being sued because
What?
they didn't provide barriers in front of the store to stop cars going in. I mean, what? I'm sorry, what have I missed here? I'm like,
I mean, they also haven't provided missile defense systems just in case someone tries to attack it with an Apache. But
no,
I don't know where they're going with this.
no, but there you go. But I mean, it is a bit. But the problem with Twitter, I think, though, I mean, it's got too big now. It's got so to the point where it's used as a government mouthpiece. Wasn't
Yep.
I think I read a story. I think it was on the FT that said that there's a quote from the incumbent governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who's tipped to be the new presidential candidate, isn't he, going forward? He said that he was quoted as saying that Apple removing Twitter from the App Store would be viewed as a raw exercise of monopolistic power and would merit a response from the US Congress. I mean, like, whoa, chill out, son.
I wouldn't worry. It's going to be banned in Europe soon anyway, isn't it? With no content regulation, the EU don't like that.
No, but him and Tim Cook are apparently best friends again now, aren't they? Because
when they've seen wandering around Apple campus.
Yeah, so Musk tweeted and said that a misunderstanding, that Tim was clear that Apple never considered removing our Twitter from the App Store, and it was a misunderstanding. And he posted a video of him at the campus saying, "It was thank you for the tour of your beautiful HQ." Yeah.
The misunderstanding, I presume, was on Musk's part and not Apple's.
Yeah. Probably along the lines of, that 15% rate that you give to, app developers. Can I just have that? Because I suppose the problem is that this Twitter Blue thing that they're going to relaunch again as well. $8, I think, isn't it? £8, whatever.
Yeah.
If they buy that through the App Store or through the app, Apple are going to take 30% of that as well, aren't they?
They are.
So,
they are. And that's what the whole point of that 30% tax was.
So
it's 15% of the first million, but they'll go over $1 million easily.
Yeah, of course they will. But I wonder whether he'd be okay. We'll do a flat rate of $1 million. Thanks very much. It keeps on coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just absolutely chaotic, isn't it, at the minute?
I did. I sat down to write these bits, and I was like, that's so old. There's so much happened since I looked at my bookmarks. There's about another 15. I'm like, oh man, right, okay, let's knock some of these out.
yeah. So going from one car crash to a tire furnace of doom. FTX. So FTX. Yes. So
okay. So you're right. It's a cryptocurrency exchange, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's based in Bahamas. It was found in 2019 by Sam Bankman-Fried, I think. Fried, wasn't it? Yeah.
Who goes by FBS, doesn't it?
SBF. We'll just call him Bankman or Sam. That's nice and easy, right? He's was the current CTO. So they were, until recently, the third largest crypto exchange in the world. They used lots of advertising to get there. They sponsored, was it the Miami Heat Stadium? So that became the FTX Arena. They had a deal with Mercedes-Benz Formula One. They sponsored a professional esports organization, Super Bowl ads, celebrity sponsorship. So they used a lot of advertising to make themselves popular and become, say, the third largest in the world, which is not bad in 3 years? That's pretty good going. Though it started to go horribly, horribly wrong, hasn't it? And it all started, there's a bit of history here. So it started with CoinDesk. They published a kind of damning report about Alameda Research. So this is a crypto trading firm, also owned by Bankman-Fried. According to CoinDesk, Alameda Research relied heavily on FTX's native FTT token, and it made up the majority of its assets on Alameda's balance sheet. This raised concerns about the intertwined nature of the two businesses, etc., and the potential for Alameda to manipulate the market with their value of FTT. Anyway, so after this came to light, the CEO of the crypto exchange Binance, who are the world's largest, aren't they, Binance?
Yes, yeah, they are.
he announced his plans to sell all of Binance's FTT holdings, which is the token that FTX has. This basically caused massive panic by investors to withdraw their funds from FTX. This inevitably caused a run on the bank, with FTX processing more customer withdrawals than it could actually afford. So this, of course, tanked the value of FTT from a peak of $50 back in March down to $1 today, or even less. Yeah, so that's not great. But it then just the Binance. Oops, be quiet, Siri. The FTX guy, sorry, the Binance guy who owns it. I'm not sure if he was toying with FTX at this point or just sticking the knife in, because apparently he signed a letter of intent to buy FTX, but kind of included a get out clause, noting the agreement was non-binding. And then a few days later, he just backed out just for the giggles, really.
But I wonder whether or not that was to expose them.
I think it was. I think it will stick the knife and expose them for everything they've seen. Yeah. So basically, he pulled out of that one, citing, beyond its control or ability to help. And then these reports surfaced from the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg about FTX used about $10 billion in customer assets to fund risky bets in Alameda Research, and even that the US regulators were looking into FTX. And then a few days later, they both filed for Chapter 11, didn't they?
It did.
FTX and Alameda.
So when we look at this, Sam Bankman-Fried, he's 30 years old. He's worked in trading. He's been worked in banking, he's investment. As of, at one point, in October 2020, so early this year, he was worth over $10 billion. Prior to that, he peaked at $26 billion, according to that.
Wow.
On the 8th of November, though, his net worth dropped by 94% to just over 990 billion. Oh, I'm terrible, I know. Terrible.
I mean, yeah.
But the interesting point was Bloomberg said that they considered him to have no material worth. So all of this was generated by the FTX and the Alameda Research companies he had. What I don't understand is, right, what was he doing with the money? Because we've talked about, that this is a crypto exchange. So people using this to trade cryptocurrencies, so real money for crypto for crypto, doing bids, against all that kind of stuff. And of course, they take a small part of that and they, make money like you would do with a normal currency exchange, isn't it? There has to be solvency in the exchange to be able to operate the trades. That's the key part of any exchange, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
And we saw that one with the Canadian one, who name escapes me right now. Who the guy that died in mysterious circumstances in India, and that was basically a Ponzi scheme, wasn't it? Where he was using everybody else's money to pay off. Basically, he was robbing Peter to pay Paul and all that kind of stuff. Now,
there's no kind of what's happened here, isn't it?
Well, to a degree, it is not quite to the same simplicity as that, because there was actually some trading mechanism going on here. He was buying, the naming rights to these companies. He was donating money to Joe Biden in the elections. He donated, I think, over $40 million to the other Democratic candidates in the thing. This was probably not his money. Now, the other weird part about it, I think, as you say, was Alameda Research, because Alameda Research is a really weird entity. It is not a research firm. It was a crypto trading firm.
Yeah.
That the only reason they put research in the name, which he said in the 2021 interview, was basically, he was quoted as saying, if you name your company like we do crypto, Bitcoin, arbitrage, multinational stuff, no one's going to give you a bank account, but everybody wants a research institute. So basically, there was deception from the outpoint here, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did you see the highlights of the Chapter 11?
Oh, well, I've seen some of them, but go on. Let's walk us through it.
Okay, so FTX lent Bankman over $1 billion for personal use. FTX gave. FTX used customer funds to buy houses for employees. FTX didn't have a list of employees and what they did. So they have employees, but they haven't got a definitive list on what the job roles are. They did not keep any books or records of its digital assets. Alameda Research was exempted from an auto liquidation on FTX. Oh, guess worst. Way worse. Right. FTX built software to hide the misuse of its customer funds. FTX also had $400 million in unauthorized transfers the day they filed for bankruptcy. And FTX had billions in investments other than crypto, but there are no books or records of any of it. And the last one, Bankman made, and then this is the big no-no, especially in financial.
Yep.
Bankman made all his business communication on apps that auto-deleted those messages after a certain amount of time. He also encouraged all his employees to do the same.
I mean, and in a statement he gave, didn't it, on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, he said, and I won't repeat the word he says, but I up and I should have done better. He said, I also should have been communicating more recently. I think you should have been communicating from the absolute start here.
So should have done better at what? Hiding your tracks or,
well,
or
yes,
being
I
honest?
mean, isn't that the old the mantra of being a criminal? If you're going to do it properly.
The best criminals you've never heard of.
Not to condone theft or at all. But yeah, basically, he also insisted that the problems were with FTX International, not the US version. So they weren't subject to US banking regulations. He said that the total holdings were sufficient to satisfy the company's debts, but they had a liquidity crisis. Well, hang on a minute. So on one hand, you're saying you've got money, but on the other hand, you're like, yeah, we might not actually have any readily accessible cash.
That's because it's all in the houses his employees have got.
Yeah, and it's also with the fact that they were just burning money like left and center. And going back to Alameda Research, so that was formed by him and I think it was a friend of his, Taramak Ule, I think I pronounced that correctly. However, recently the CEO was somebody called Caroline Elson. Now she is the former CEO because the company has been dissolved, isn't it?
Yep.
But she was also the ex-girlfriend of Bankman-Fried.
Oh, wow. I can see why he's currently hiding out in the Bahamas.
Well, yeah.
So shortly after this happened, his private jet took off, went to the Bahamas, and that's where he's been ever since.
Yeah. So apparently 3 days before they did Chapter 11, she sent a text saying that she was kind of worried that everyone's going to quit and take time off.
Oh.
That was alongside the collapse of their corporate, the sister company, if you will, FTX. Now, she's also, again, this is alleged, nothing's proven, alleged there was a lot of drug usage of amphetamines, I think, wasn't it, and stuff, to help drive it. She had no prior, I think, background in running companies. She did quantitative trading where she met her ex-boyfriend. So she was a junior trader. But, she then moved to this Alameda Research and she became the sole CEO in 2022, in August 22, excuse me. And that was, like you say, that was a CoinDesk piece when it came out around the whole CoinDesk article and that. It just absolutely stinks of a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah,
there's nothing
and
else.
Even it isn't a Ponzi scheme; it's just corruption, isn't it? He's just seen how much money's there, and he's just helped himself whenever he wants.
So you know who's taken over, don't you now, of FTX?
No, who's taken over? I missed that one.
The guy, his name is John J. Ray III, and he was the CEO of Enron during its bankruptcy.
Didn't he look at it and went, nah?
No, he is. So he is.
He's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he looked at it and then gone, no, I can't deal with that.
No, so apparently he did. So apparently he was. It's brilliant. So he basically saw Enron, basically as that was taken apart and broken. And I realized I've said basically quite a lot here, so I apologize. Yeah. So after Chapter 11, he was quoted as saying that he said in his 40 years of experience, he'd never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and a complete absence of trustworthy financial information has occurred there. In addition, he said that FTX was managed by a small group of inexperienced, unsophisticated, potentially compromised individuals. Oh,
and that's after being involved with Enron.
I was just going to say, I mean, Enron was the ultimate, just burn it and run. Oh my god, I mean, it's just nuts. So so you're right. So Bankman-Fried, he's hiding out in the Bahamas at the minute.
I'm guessing there's no extradition from the Bahamas, or is there? There must be, surely.
There must be. It's Bahamas. It's so close to the US, they could just pop over there, surely. But yeah, he was recently. So yes, there is. By the way, so to answer your question, yes, there is an extradition treaty with them, which is unsurprising. So recently, he joined by video to the Dilbrook Summit, which was held around crypto and banking, and he joined this summit. Sorry, not crypto. He joined the summit and was giving an interview, and he said that he'd had a bad month and had no money left. and his lawyers had advised him not to speak publicly, but he's ignored them. And he said he denied moving any money out of FTX. He's got nothing. He's close to nothing now. I'm very sorry to hear that, as he's still in the Bahamas.
But
that's right.
Nothing means he's down to his last £100,000.
Yeah, that was it. His last £100,000 on a credit card.
Oh.
No, but that £100,000 was debt. Sorry, that was £100,000 of debt, by the way. But he then this is the best part. He then unloaded on FTX, saying that he was asked several times about the money movements between FTX, Alameda, and he apparently, according to the report, was sketchy in detail. He said he was quoted as saying, "I didn't try to ever commit fraud." Well, no, I guess you probably didn't. You just thought you were going to get away with it. And apparently, he almost admitted to greenwashing. This term of where where you do environmental activity or ESG style projects for publicity. It's just like unbelievable. So FTX currently owes 50 creditors, or 50 of its largest creditors, up to $3 billion US. But the last thing I'm going to say, because this just to me is absolutely hilarious, he didn't provide any evidence, but he believes that the US, entity of FTX was solvent and could pay back American investors. What with magic beans?
Yeah, fairy dust.
Oh, So this story, I think, is going to get worse as soon as they've extradited him back to the US, which I suspect will happen, given there's definitely criminal proceedings coming here.
Yeah, wow.
But what we are seeing here is another nail in the coffin for crypto.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it makes it look bad, but this is also going to affect a lot of other exchanges and stuff. We're going to see more crypto companies go
under
bust
massive
shortly.
scrutiny, and because of the scrutiny, and the I think the point we need to think about is that crypto is so unregulated. And I know the whole decentralization piece is around to make it deregulated, because we don't need big banks involved. We can have this blockchain ledger that everybody can see, and but there's also so much anonymity in that it's a great mechanism for wire laundering money, for theft, isn't it?
Oh, it is massively.
It's just nuts, and I don't think any central bank wants to have anything to do with it whatsoever, because it just is so hot to touch at the moment, and not in a good way, as in hot potato, better put it down. But we will definitely be following more of FTX.
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be. I put money on the Netflix series within 6 months.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, let's move away from crazy crypto criminals and let's talk about space. Because last week we talked about the X-37B, didn't we? And
we did.
This week, let's talk about the new ESA astronauts. So the European Space Agency has chosen 17 new candidates. Wait for this. From over 22,500 applications that came across the whole of the EU. Now, that also includes the UK, because we still pay a lot of money into the ESA. So this is good news. So they've chosen 5 career astronauts, 11 astronaut reserves, and why they had to highlight this, I'm not entirely sure, but 1 astronaut with a disability.
Yeah, it was a oddly highlighted one. Diversity.
So we might as well linger on that statement just for a minute, because actually this is quite interesting. So John McFall is a British astronaut. Well, now he is a British astronaut.
He's from the UK.
Born on the 25th of April 1981 in Frimley, according to his profile on the ESA page. John is very educated man. He currently is a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from the University of Cardiff. So, and he's a member of the Royal College of Surgeons. So clearly, in terms of doctorate and all that kind of stuff, he's the good man to have. And he's an orthopedic registrar working at the moment. Now, the disability element comes from that he lost his right leg following a motorcycle accident, and he then became a professional athlete. I think he's Paralympic sprinter. In the T42 class. Now, don't ask me what those mean. I can never. They're so crazy. Nope. So he's going to join. He's going to join ESA to undertake a project to see whether or not disabled astronauts can fly in space. So it's
Yes.
going to be around physical disabilities and understanding how that would affect astronauts, and whether or not, what issues there are. And ultimately, I think this is, to unlock any barriers that will be there. So this is
Yeah.
fantastic, because again, I think, quote me if I'm wrong, I think he was quoted saying that space was for all, wasn't it, or words
Yeah.
to that effect, in his role. So, fantastic guy here, an unbelievable athlete, clearly, a very talented doctor as well, and now astronaut added to his impressive CV. So I'm
Not bad.
really, really excited to, see what's going to come out of this project that he's going to have there. And do you know what? I'd love to see him go into space at some point in the future. I think that would be
Definitely.
absolutely amazing. So
But these are
UK,
the first new recruits in 13 years, aren't they?
well, yeah, that's the other crazy part, isn't
I
it?
was like, has it been that long?
Well, here's my question to you. What the hell is Tim Peake doing? Because when Tim Peake came back from his trip into space, remember, on the
Yeah.
ISS, excuse me, ESA, there was a lot of questions around, would he go back into space, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Would he, have a second run at it? And apparently, because he's that first group of astronauts, he was eligible, or is eligible, for a second run. But
He's decided not to. He's not on the list.
I've not seen anything. I think, has he taken a? Well, he said I read somewhere a little while ago that he'd taken a sabbatical. Um,
Okay.
he'd taken a sabbatical, and obviously now he does a lot of publicity, doesn't he? He does lots of talks. He, gives information. He's
Yep.
a public speaker, I think, is probably the right way to describe him, isn't he?
Yes.
But I don't know. Is he still? I don't know. Is he going to go back up? I'm really. It's kind of, I guess, an open question. I just
I'm
don't know.
guessing no. If looks like they've kind of replaced him, doesn't it?
Well, they don't say back. I don't want to say replace, because look at it with NASA. NASA always have different intakes of astronauts, don't they?
Yeah.
So
That's
they
true.
don't.
They'll choose the correct astronauts for the mission, won't
Yeah.
they?
So he still is. So he still is on the ESA page, and it says here that he's taking unpaid leave of absence for 2 years from October 2019, and
So he's
as
back already.
he well, yeah, but that's not what the page says. It says here that he's eligible for a second mission to the ISS as a member of the 2009 class. And in 2016, the Director General of the ESA said that his intention was that all astronauts from the '09 class will fly twice by 2024. Well, quite a few of them have already, haven't they?
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I don't think he will. I I
No.
don't think he will. According to I think it was the Register, when I was doing some research earlier, the Register, back in August, had asked him, and they spoke to a member of the UK Space Agency,
Yeah.
saying that obviously his leave of absence was due to end in October, and the fact that several of his group from '09 have already done multiple missions, and they were like, "Well, what's he doing?" And apparently, it was quite a diplomatic response that said that question very much remains with Tim, and that until he returns to ESA, uh,
No.
there'll be they can't assign him
No
new
comment.
missions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
Interesting.
I know. I just, it's one of those things. Like, I want to see him back in
Hmm.
space.
Yeah.
But yes. But yes. Sorry.
Oh,
But back to the point. These astronauts. Then. So we've got 3 from the UK, haven't we? And then a
yep.
mix from other
Nations.
countries.
Yeah. Well, then obviously the actual astronauts, they'll be going off to the ESA's astronaut center in Cologne, Germany, won't they, for their training?
Yep.
So they'll be getting 12 months of basic training to make sure they're ready to be new astronauts, and then they'll get more mission-specific training as they get assigned missions. The reserve pool is slightly different, though. So the reserve pool, obviously, you carry on doing your day job. You'll get your basic support training, and if you're called in, you'll get more training. But basically, life is normal for you if you're a reserve.
Yeah, I was going to ask her because of what the reserve means. I think, as you say, it's just more training, isn't it? It's there to back up, and I suppose if they need
Yeah.
to fill the gap, you're next in line. Because at the moment there are 7 active astronauts,
Yep.
which includes Tim, apparently. I'm not sure how that works. So Samantha Cristoforetti from Italy. She recently came back, didn't she, from the ISS?
She did, yeah.
We've got Alexander Gerst, Matthias Maria, Andreas Mogosen. Oh, I'm sorry. Luca Palmatino, Tim Thomas Pasquit from France. Again, he's very active. And it says other new astronauts will join as they go forward. So, yeah, it's great to see this. I think it's fantastic that we have such a vibrant European Space Agency. You know, there's
Yeah.
clearly good investment there from them going forward. But yeah, so that new ESA astronauts, the new class of 2022 is now in, and you know we'll look forward to seeing more about them. Really, I think, isn't it, and hearing more
Yeah.
about their adventures, especially of the career astronauts. Which one of them is, again, I should have mentioned the other career astronaut. Sorry, is one of them is from the UK, and that's Rosemary Coogan. She's from Northern Ireland, and she is I think it was, isn't it? She's physics, astrophysics, astronomy, and then I think she now does works as a visiting scientist and astronomer at several different places across the globe. So again, you know, perfect background. Let's be honest, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
So she now has been joined. She's a career astronaut. So apparently, her hobbies are rowing, scuba diving, hiking, cycling, kayaking, and yoga. Alongside playing the piano, cooking, board games, and spending time with her friends. So
Wow.
I think you're a pretty active person there. Like, how are you going to fit in an astronaut? You know, but yeah, fantastic to see, and you know, the kind of people that they are now recruiting. What makes me kind of smile is that you know this Rosemary here, who's a career astronaut for the UK, born in '91. It's just like you start to feel old, don't you? You know.
I do.
Where did my opportunity to become an astronaut go? But
don't know. I didn't even see the application form, and I would have applied.
No,
Just
but absolutely fantastic. We've also, I should have stated, we also know that I have a member of the astronaut reserve as well. That's another woman, McGann Christian. She was born in '87. She holds several citizenship. She holds British, Italian, Australian, and New Zealand citizenship.
Oh wow!
So she is a doctorate in, I think it's a doctorate in industrial chemistry. So again, some very highly skilled and you know, impressive people there that have joined the astronaut corps. So no longer test pilots, military. You notice that?
Yes, definitely.
Anyway, so let's talk about Intel because where do we go from here?
Wow. So it seems Intel are going ahead with what they're calling SDSI, or software defined silicon. They're officially calling it Intel On Demand. But basically, this is going to be introduced with the Intel's new Xeon Sapphire Rapids. We spoke about last week? We spoke about when we talked about the AMD stuff, didn't we?
Yeah.
But basically, this is really software locking your CPU so that you can enable certain features on demand. Okay, and by on demand we mean once you've paid some money, not just a flick of a switch. But yeah, they've announced 5 different technologies that come with the Xeon thing, but you'll be able to unlock. So Intel's software guard extensions, which are around about protecting data encryption. Quick Assist technology, which is accelerating data encryption and compression workloads. A dynamic load balancer, which is a hardware managed load balancing system. Intel's in-memory analytics accelerator and Intel's data streaming accelerator. But yeah, if you want these features, you're going to have to pay. So you can pay a one-off license fee to unlock these over the air kind of thing. And but where would the fun in that be? The second option, of course, is a subscription. So you can pay per month to have your features unlocked or locked. So I presume that you can just use them for X amount of time, then turn them off again and not have to keep paying.
Okay.
I
mean, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure how I feel about this one.
I kind of like the reason I'm pausing is like this. We clearly are moving into a full-on, aren't we? Subscription. Absolutely. Our corporate world of subscription. Basically, you cannot. I've done it again. You buy something, but you can't unlock it. You've got to pay more money. It's just, I don't know. It's like everything. It just goes, pay more money, pay more money, pay more money.
From one side, I can see, right. So actually, but these are all kind of firmware and not hardware. Are they hardware? I suppose it's dedicated chips. So basically, they're basically building the same chip rather than 16 varieties. Some have these extra bits embedded or not. They're just building the same chip and then they're doing software definition or software unlock on it. So from an economies of scale, I can see, build one chip, many more of them is a lot more cost efficient. I definitely get that one. But the same commit says, but it's sitting there on the hardware and now I have to pay for it after I've already paid.
And that's my bugbear with it, right? That's entirely my bugbear, is that whole thing of like, no, I want to pay my money. I expect to get what I've paid for. I don't expect to have to keep buying it. But I guess from an economy of scales point of view, yes, it's easier, isn't it? They can roll out these chips. You unlock it with the license keys, and off we trot, isn't it?
But I suppose, though, in a traditional sense, though, if you bought the lowest end Xeon, for example, you might not get software guard extensions, but you would in the top end one. So now you have that ability, and providing the prices stay the same, you buy the lowest one, the later on decide you need that, you can just pay a bit more, or a lot more, I don't know the pricing, and enable that without having to buy a completely new chip.
True. I mean, Pat Gelsinger has said he wants to increase their software and services revenue, hasn't he? So Intel need to make more money. And
this is all about getting that recurring revenue, isn't it?
Exactly. But they did say at the same time, though, that they wouldn't be customers wouldn't be forced to pay for features through the Intel On Demand program. So, yeah.
No, and I presume that, if you want to just buy those out, well, you can do a one-off charge anyway with this, but I presume you can buy this outright at the time of purchases in the CPU. You buy the highest end model, it's got them all enabled by default. Then there's no subscriptions or license, which is what you traditionally do anyway.
And you'd really hope that was the case, wouldn't you, as well?
You'd hope so. The only thing that worries me about these, though, is, so say you've bought the lowest one, you've enabled a couple of these things, it's now in a mission-critical situation, and now it can't contact the licensed server, because you've lost your internet, boom, it goes down, what fails?
I'm hoping that that's not the case, but yes, I can see devil's advocate there,
Yes, this is all very much taking a leaf out of the car manufacturer's playbook, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was just saying, going from one extreme to the other. I mean, we've seen in the car manufacturers, BMW, other manufacturers have been using the subscription model for some time now, haven't they? And BMW have been getting a little stick from it. You and I both know this for a fact. Yep. But Mercedes now have taken it to, quite frankly, this is like, you want what? You want subscription? Oh, we can sell you some packages.
Hold my beer. So this is on their the new EV range, aren't they? So they just launched all these new EVs. They look quite nice.
Nice looking cars,
They are. But now their subscription service is for increased acceleration. Okay, so you get a default acceleration or brake horsepower, acceleration, and torque out of the box, but you can pay for an increase. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of money, and we'll get to the money part in a minute. But they've got this is available on like 4 models, okay, and they range from like 288 horsepower by default, and if you pay their subscription, you can bump that to 349 horsepower, which brings your 0 to 60 time from 6 down to 5.1 seconds. And bits and pieces like that, but how much?
I mean, well, to say before you get to the money, there's 4 steps in that, isn't there? So the different models step it up from the 349. They've also got the other ones where you go from 335 to 355 to 443. Yeah, and again, you go 5.3 to 4.5. It's just so you're getting and it's not changing anything. The car can do this. That's just to be the real key point here. The car is perfectly capable of doing this. It is purely a software lock. Just to be clear,
this isn't like your traditional internal combustion engines, is it?
No.
And even that, to a degree nowadays, they can change by using a firmware, can't they? By reprogramming the ECU.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like I need to put a bigger 4-litre engine in rather than the 2.5-litre engine. It's all there.
So so let's talk the money then. Let's talk money.
So it's $1,200 a year. So what? $100 a month. Had that speed increase.
So let's just say you're buying this car on. And again, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know whether America has these, but here in Europe we have these what we call the PCP plan. So traditional hire purchase, you pay a monthly sum. At the end, you pay the payment. You take it away. The PCP plan, for anybody that's not familiar, is a similar. It's a leasing model. You pay money up front as a deposit. You pay a monthly figure. At the end of it, you either keep the car and pay the balloon payment, or you give the car back, or you trade it in for another model, and the equity that you've accrued, you use against it, don't you?
Yeah.
So $1,200 here. So $100, as you say. So that's effectively $100 on top of what theoretically could be a monthly payment, isn't it, as well? So just for the fact of shaving us basically a second off your 0 to 60 time.
And you're not getting that money back at the end. That's not building any equity in your car because the next
No,
person, if they don't pay the subscription, loses
loses
that.
it.
So you
Yeah,
can't
this is
say, I'm selling the 443 horsepower version because as soon as it's not yours, it's down to the 355 horsepower version.
yes, it's nuts. I don't get it. I mean, BMW, as we talked about at the start there, got a lot of flack recently because they, in the US, they're doing, um, subscriptions for heated seats. So they're doing, the
Yeah.
cameras, they're
But I
doing all
suppose
this
they're
kind of stuff.
doing, they do
But
that
we were
thing where
saying
we
this was
just build it
standardized.
all in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
we
was standard
standardized the
building.
model and we sell it to you at the price you would pay for it without the heated seats in. And if you
Yeah.
want to enable it, you can buy a one-off payment or you can do a subscription. Yeah, it's all very similar stuff.
Yeah,
And they
and
did
that's
try it with CarPlay in the past, didn't they?
they did. Yeah, but then
But
they had to
canned that
stop
rather
doing it.
sharply.
Yeah, but I paid, so I had to unlock CarPlay on my car. It cost me 200, nearly 300 quid. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think this is taking it to a level where I know Tesla have their ludicrous mode, don't they? But isn't that like a one-off fee to unlock that with the cars? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if Mercedes are going to give you the option of a one-off fee for this as well. I suspect they probably will.
Yeah.
We'd hope.
We have, but yes, definitely hold my beer, isn't it? So before we get to Tech Rat Rumor Mill, then one crazy story that almost sounds like it should be in the Rumor Mill for craziness is back over in Brazil. We recently talked about the Brazilian regulators and obviously the Microsoft Activision deal. They're happy with that. They're cool with that. That's good.
They're good with that one, yeah.
What they're not cool about is the fact that Apple are no longer selling chargers with their iPhones. Now we did mention this before.
We
said about
talked
how
about this.
how that's, but it's taken a little bit of a strange turn, hasn't it?
Yeah, they have. So what? Back in September, the Brazilian Ministry of Justice they ordered suspension of iPhone sales. I think we covered that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
and that was after now Apple appealed this to Judge Diego Camara Alves, and he decided to allow them to continue selling the phones until the final verdict had been reached. It seems that Procon DF, who are the federal district-based consumer protection regulator, wasn't happy with this. Basically raided all the retail stores and stole all the phones. Well, not sorry, confiscated all the phones in what they call Operation Discharge.
Ridiculous. Absolutely.
Right. I'm sure that's a play on words there somewhere, discharge, but it doesn't translate well.
The best part about, like you say, the judge who gave the judge believes that Apple are not breaking any laws, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's even commented saying the Brazilian regulator is abusing its power with such a decision to do it.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West. But it was interesting, isn't it? I noticed on that there was apparently in Brazil the Apple TV still comes with a USB-C cable in the box.
It does. They're the only country in the world where it comes with a USB-C cable in the box.
Yeah. Very, very nuts here. But yeah, I thought that we just.
I don't get that because the iPhone comes with a USB-C to Lightning cable in the box.
Yeah.
There's still no power adapter.
No power.
And now no phones.
Yeah, it does make you laugh, doesn't it? But yeah,
it does.
So then let's fire up. Where is my magic button? Okay, last story of the night because this is just absolutely nuts. So, all I'm going to say, Carl, before you take it away, is why the hell have we not had? Where has this gone? Come on!
I don't know. So traditionally on this part, we talk about rumors of what's to come. But instead, now we're talking about a rumor of what could have been, aren't we? And the rumor is that Apple is preparing to launch a new low-cost Apple Pencil. Okay, nothing exciting. Called Marker, not Pencil. But the big thing is, it was meant to come alongside and work with the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro. So these markers, pencils, whatever I call them, wouldn't carry over the pressure sensing technology featured in the current pencils. Instead, opt to use kind of a chip to power the stylus from the screen itself. This was only going to cost $49. And here's the bit that explodes my brain. They were so close to release that Apple have already got a million of these sitting in boxes somewhere. And they for some reason pulled it at the last minute.
Probably been scrapped, haven't they? Now, let's be honest. But
maybe.
I mean, okay. So we can take the Samsung. We got the S Pen, the Samsung. It clicks into the chassis. It's nice.
Yeah.
The iPhone doesn't have that capability, so you'd have a spare part, effectively, wouldn't you, for it?
Yeah. You used to get that with the Notes, didn't you?
But
And for a couple of revisions of the S, whatever, you
Yep.
couldn't put it in. The latest S22 Plus, Ultra, whatever it's called, has an actual slot for it. Before that, it was just something you held separately.
I would have bought this in a heartbeat with the phone. Just there are so many times when actually having a decent stylus would work. And I know styluses are around for a long time. The ones with the rubber tips that use this,
Yep.
they basically mimic the finger, don't they?
Finger.
With the heat. But a proper recognized one that would allow me to sign things, especially sometimes on the phone, to be able to sign documents or annotate very quickly. That using your finger isn't always practical, is it?
Signing with my finger is just horrific.
It's horrific. But sometimes, I could do so much annotation on stuff when I'm on the train without having to pull out the iPad or that. I would have bought. I think I can't. What? It blows my mind. It's like I would have done this. I buy it now. Like, it just is crazy, isn't it? I just think of all the things, the rumors that Apple have done, and sometimes we talk about rumors on here, and I think to myself, oh my god, who in their right mind, who's going to buy that, or why would they think that was a good idea? But this is just bonkers, isn't it?
Maybe they're holding it back for the iPhone 15.
I don't know. Maybe that's part of the whole thing. But if the rumor is true and that they've they had 1 million units, they've scrapped them. Oh, somebody somewhere's got one, because we've seen it. I've shown up before. Look at it before with what was the MagSafe Power thing called?
AirPower.
AirPower. Remember those prototype units that showed up on YouTube with those guys?
Yep.
Somebody they end up, don't they? Things disappear,
Yeah, this will appear a couple of years from now if it's not been released, and someone will have one. Yeah.
But the fact it didn't need a battery is perfect, because that's the problem sometimes with the iPad Pencil. I've got the Gen 2 one. It clips on the top.
I've got
it charges.
The horrific Gen 1 one.
Yeah. I'm glad I got rid of
You
that.
just stick out your lightning port.
Don't. That's just hideous. And don't forget the dongle, of course. Now, if you've got
if you've got the new iPad, you need the USB-C to Lightning dongle that has to stick out. Oh, my life. Yeah.
But this, perfect. The fact it needs no battery would depend. I could keep it in my bag. To me, this is just unbelievable that it didn't exist or doesn't exist anymore, theoretically. But I mean, of all the rumors, like you say,
yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
Not at all. But anyway, okay. Well, I think that's probably a good place for us to wrap up for today. We'll be back next week for episode 115, which is getting close to the end of the year for us. We'll give more details on our end of year show probably the next week. The plan is probably to, just look back at what we've done, talk about some of the games I think, we're going to be looking forward to next year, and probably some gadgets. What do you reckon, Carl? Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
So next week we'll be back, let's say, for episode 115. Already I can tell you we're going to be talking around more and more compliance breaches. Yes, there's another security breach. We're also there's 2 security breaches I'm already aware of, isn't it?
Yes, there is.
And the rumor mill is already started to fill up already. I've just seen a couple of new entries go in there too. So you can find us on Twitter, because we're still there. The lights haven't been turned out yet, at Weekly Tech Rant. All of our show notes are on techrant.online. And give us a like, where you get your podcast from. Tell your friends about us, and thanks for listening. I've been Jay.
I've been Carl. Have a good evening, all.